You set your chairs to the right.
Your
too.
screen's frozen anyway, so all we get to see is your sexy face looking down at your tattoos.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't see you looking down. I see you looking straight. But yeah.
But yeah.
Hello.
Hello.
Are we doing the thing?
Are you asking if we're live?
There we go. There we go. That's better.
Am I asking if we're live? I don't know. You tell me.
Are you asking if we're live?
Is this the moment to ask this question?
Are you alive?
Are we
Welcome
live?
to the Jiro's
Am I
podcast.
doing this?
Is anyone
Am I doing
else
this at the scripted moment as I'm supposed to?
Bam.
Are we live?
Hello
No.
and welcome.
That's for
Welcome to the Jiro's podcast.
The Villains Talk Show and Podcast. These are your hosts, the Greasy Boy, the Elusive Gentleman, and Insaniac, and I am just one of another's called C4. We have a full deck
I'm
today.
C4.
Full deck, full house. Welcome,
in
everyone.
the middle of the street, full house.
Yeah. Thank you. Man, I screwed up my intro. Now I'm all messed up. I'm gonna start with the patrons then. I'd like to thank our patrons, Rushala and For the Wheel. They're all if you want to be a patron too, patrons in the link tree. If you want to help support the podcast and or the channel, just like or share or subscribe or whatever. The panders. Think of. We still need that panda. I keep saying it.
I've sent it to the moderator chat, and you haven't used it yet.
Oh, did you? Did you send a panda? I better see a panda.
I made it.
Oh my god, really? Like
I
actually?
don't know if there is.
I'm looking at the moderator.
Yeah, it's up a
right
little
now.
bit.
It's up a little bit. Moderator only. Where am I not seeing this? I actually don't see
It's
it.
hand drawn. I sent it back in January. So scroll up.
Oh my god, there it is. The panda button. Oh, never mind.
You have two choices for it.
Oh my god. I will share that with the glory of everyone soon. But
January.
other than pandering, you can always catch new episodes of the podcast.
Oh. Panda fell away. Oh.
You can always catch new episodes of the podcast. Right now, my upload schedule has changed from Tuesday to Thursdays to Wednesdays. Just for the time future until I figure out that junk, because we have a new podcast. We're now being hosted by Anchor. So that shout out to them. So yeah, right now you can catch new episodes of the podcast on Wednesdays, or if you want to join us for Two Shots and join us in Two Shots, it's all about Two Shot Fridays. Looks like the Greasy Boys Discord crashed because that
probably come back.
yeah, he'll be
There he
back.
is.
There he is.
There he is.
But so yeah, if you want to catch us for Two Shots, you can join us. Just message us, and you can be part of it, or you can just sit and watch. And we do those again at 9:30 Pacific. Today, I guess today.
Yesterday.
You might be noticing if you are sitting if you're
If you're in the front row,
If you're in the front row,
Not in the back.
if you're sitting in the audience position right now, you looked at the
okay.
title screen.
So the topic for today, I wrote it as to make a monster because because
crafting Hotris.
in our D&D game, in our wonderful campaign that's coming to a close, I'll get into details in a bit here, but we essentially made a monster that I was not part of today. I was barbecuing. I was enjoying delicious ribs. But in
That he
part,
didn't share.
in part of them basically explaining to me what I missed.
You guys should tell in the comments how much C4 should share.
I kind of had an idea, a spur, a light bulb, as it were. For you see, as we have the Elusive Gentleman today, he obviously helped in building this monster that we're going to talk about. But that kind of leads into a larger question: is how to make a monster, how to use the tools you have to craft a monster. So we're going to. I believe you guys still have the list of all the items that we used.
He used 43 items.
Yep.
I'm gonna call it to Bob and Metzer. We did the Fregacyde challenge today.
I would ask if the Greasy Boy could post the items in the chat as I go through them, and we'll go through each of the item is if it's something obviously quest related or very party related, I'll be a lot more vague over that. Anything that's like not party related, that's just magical in nature, we'll go over.
Yeah,
and then I want you guys.
I can't send the whole list.
That's fine. Just at least part of it. And then after that, we'll go into. I'll let Jeremy and Saniac and Greasy Boy take over in how they were able to use this list into creating the monster that we have now today. And then hopefully we'll be able to derive some of that and then pass it off to you out there who wish to make a monster in D&D or in writing. Because making a monster...
A lot of this stuff was just random crafting stuff we had in our pockets in the game.
That's...
Not all of it, but most of it.
So I'm going to go...
So you'd be surprised what you hold on to through an entire game.
So anything that has a name... So we're going to say like... Anything that says like Sean Head or Chandra Tooth. I'm going to go a little more vague of what it is and just kind of generalize it for the audience. Just because going into who Sean is and what it means to the party would be ridiculous.
Go back to our episode on backstabbing to learn all.
Yeah, there you go. Nice plug. Points to Gryffindor for that one.
Yeah, there's been some interesting characters we've talked about.
So I'm just gonna go over the list for go first quick run through. Then we'll go into and talk about some of the items we put in. So we have we're gonna say druid blood, a druid head, that same druid turned into a hydra's tooth, eyes, head. Mother's milk, which is Yogg, or no, not Yogg. That's Zugmagoy's milk.
Yep.
M&M's, which is
it's for druid bathwater.
What's M&M's?
M&M's a drug. Same with this and
that. M&M's are superpowered mother's milk.
This and that, Star Coffee, Druid Lube, Purple Worm Tooth, Chad, which is an amalgamation between a weird and a Starspawn Goliath.
No, this is the regular Chad.
This was the scuba driver.
So just drugs. War Master, which is our Minotaur Barbarian's blood, our Satyr's blood, ear of my character, an Oculo, Black Lotus, a Crystal Magic Chalice of Life, Black Crystal Chalice Shard, Great Old Magic Star Druid Dragon. From Magic, Fabricate 2, Bloodstone, Ritual Dagger, Rotten Viscera. Oh, yeah, the Rotten Viscera. Can't forget the Rotten Viscera. The battery,
a whole bag of
battery, parts of Inifridi Signers, a Zugtamoy Shard, Malicor's Tea, a Meteor Bead, a Satyr Hoof, Malicor's Flesh, Taven's Flesh. Taven's another one of our party members. Our Barbarian's Long Sword of Blasting.
Our Barbarian Stinger. That was the mutation that he had. And then, the Long Sword of Blasting. And a hair from another... And a shotgun. A shotgun that actually made it into the final thing, too.
What this started as is what started as a drugstore. We wanted to do something stupid because it's the end of our campaign, and beautiful Greasy Boy here had the idea of doing a drug sword. And it started from him trying to put all these things into a drug sword, and then as we started adding more, because it's just everything from the campaign, like everything we still have on each other. And we just started dumping everything that we had extra in front of the character, and eventually...
I had a manual flesh golem.
It was our DM, I thought, who suggested making it into a flesh golem, which then became the monster idea.
That was my idea, but then it definitely got into whatever this has become. This has been Jeremy's kind of help push to that too, our wonderful DM.
So some of the things I will impact is we have Sean Blood, Head, and Tooth, and what our druid was is Greasy Boy played a druid that was a spore druid, dedicated to Zugdamoy. He became powerful and essentially in our campaign completed their devious ritual and summoned a giant fungus hydra, essentially.
Yeah.
No, he became the
He
giant
became,
fungus hydra.
he became
But
the
yeah,
fungus
and
hydra.
so once we eventually
was-
killed
And the
that,
fungus hydra
we
was
got
killed,
pieces
and
of it, and that's what we.
the barbarian killed him, and then we took it. Was like
Barbarian we
Silver
named
Slave.
Warmaster. His name is the
Warmaster.
Warmaster, so that's where
He's,
that is. Taven.
Along with our satyr.
Yeah, Satyr D. Yeah, War Master indeed killed him.
And Oculo is it's a separate book. They're a bunch of eye creatures. You can look them up. They're 4 5e, but they're not an actual 5e creature. But that
They like use different eyes from other people and come together as like a beat, like a bunch of like floating eyes.
yeah.
Like, interesting.
So now I'll let you guys.
The rotten viscera made most of the flesh for this body
Yeah.
because this was mainly built around as a flesh golem that had been way enhanced by all of our nonsense.
I want just to ask for a question, just to get his opinion, because I wasn't part of this. As a DM, Jeremy, elusive gentleman,
Yeah.
I want to know. Give me some idea of your roll tables, because I understand the way I understand it is you built a roll table. I'm assuming with different things and different items that we've listed here or that were listed there, and I just want to know, what were you thinking when, like, you don't have to read them to me. I mean, if you can, if you did, that would be great, because that would help my question more. But I just want to know, like, how did you decide for the roll tables? And
I didn't actually need any roll tables. I mean, DCs are a different thing together, but
oh, was it DCs? Remember, I wasn't there, so
yeah,
so let me.
there's a series of DCs. I guess Andrew, you probably better
Yeah.
to explain
Well,
the process, considering you're the one who did it.
Yeah, I just explained how I wanted to form the body, and then Jeremy told me which DCs would fit best for what I was describing. And otherwise, it seemed like, from what explaining different abilities, I imagine there's a series of things that are like more based on the connection of certain items, and some series of things that have been established for enchanting stuff based on like the difficulty of a creature and its experience and how that helps scoring towards certain things.
Yeah, pretty much. And then we itemized the list, kind of went over what their properties were. For example, the Sean Bloodenhead would carry fiendish properties because of his race.
He was a tiefling, so.
Whereas you also added things like the different drugs, which would have their own DCs on them. If they did the same thing, for like effect wise, the effect would become compounded. So instead of it being like a DC 12 or DC 14 for like a lesser item, you're compounding these items into a more powerful ability that the creature gets, which is where it came from. So it had a charm, a suggest, or a 2 suggestion type components added to it. Yeah. So that's where its DC 19 dominate ability comes from.
Oh, I guess you should go over what you made. Now that we have the parts, you should probably go over what it became, and then as we go, just as we're going in, it just crossed my mind.
So the main kind of idea of how this guy was built out was a flesh golem with the head, which was rebuilt from our old druid that had sacrificed himself in this ritual, and essentially he had there wasn't too much hugely changed from his normal form, aside from having on his right arm he had a sword and a shotgun with an energy based shotgun planted into like fabricated together and planted into his arm on his right arm, and then he has this oculo which has the ability to create other eyes on its own, so we added that to the mixture, so hopefully it could do that on its own from people. And then on the left hand, we had a stinger that we had taken as a mutation from our barbarian, which my character had given him at one point. And we had also embedded the like a meteor bead, which had gone into enhancing the explosion ability of the sword.
What's a meteor bead? Just so everyone knows what that is.
So
Anyone who may not play D&D.
From I think it's a bead of meteor swarms or
Yeah.
meteors.
Here's how I'd blame it.
Bead of
In
meteor
D&D, there's leveled spells from 1 to 9. Level 9
Meteor
being super godly strong. This bead summons a meteor swarm, does it not?
Yes, it summons
That's
4
a-
meteors.
That's a level 9 spell.
Each of them do 20d4 or 20d6 fire damage and 20d6 force damage or bludgeoning damage. One of the two.
And with the enhancement from the blasting from my original enchantment on the sword would be an additional 66 fire and an additional 66 thunder.
Yeah.
And it would be doubled for structures. Or I think it was built around being mainly to target structures.
Yes.
Weapon that could level a town quite literally.
No, continue. Please continue. Just want to make sure everyone understood what you meant by this. It's not just any little meteor bead.
Yeah, no. The enchantment of it has a big impact. It's a bead. It's a meteor. It's the whole point. And in the stinger, it has the ability to inject people with this dominate ability from its drugs that are in the system so innately. And then it has the ability to poison people with purple worm venom, essentially.
Do you have the stats?
I think
Not yet.
They're in the process of being made.
They're in the process of being made. Okay.
But yeah, and then he has satyr legs.
Yes.
And this thing is a primordial?
Primordial Titan, yes.
Yeah. Also, yeah, I got it.
Primordial Titan.
So in its right eye, it has this. I don't know what the crystal looks like. Jeremy would probably be the better one to describe it. But in the right eye, he has this chaos shard that's in his right eye, and on his left eye, he has got 2 eyes that are together on one side.
Mhm.
Unless he's changed that. That's how it was originally kind of built. I wanted it to look a little creepy and weird. And then he's got this giant eye on his right shoulder. And now, after getting crafted fully through this body, the Oculo can make people go blind, and after it infects people after they're blind, it literally takes their eyes from their body.
Yeah.
So wait. I should have been writing this down as you listed it. So we have.
oh! Now you want to take notes?
Sorry, I was just so taken back. So we have take eyes from Oculo. We have Scorpion.
A gaze
Sting,
attack.
Scorpion Dominate. Gaze.
There was 3 abilities to the Scorpion. To the Stinger. I don't quite remember
The Oculo has a gaze attack.
Yeah, the Oculo also has a gaze attack and a Disintegrate. I think that's on.
No, that's the shotgun.
No, it's the shotgun.
Shotgun.
The energy shotgun has a Disintegrate. That's fused to
Equals
it's fused to the flat side of the log sword.
Disintegrate.
Yeah.
Okay.
What was the
And it is
again?
3 legendary action. It only
5.
costs 3 legendary actions to use
Yeah. And it has 5 legendary actions total.
per turn.
How many resistances?
It's immune to.
It's gonna have 5.
And yeah,
5 res. What's this thing? I mean, like CO30.
it's almost a god.
It's got
It's an Eldar. Is what- as we call it.
2 CR23 gods in it.
Here's what it needs to do, ladies and gentlemen. It needs to have an AC of like 60 and only 1 health.
And it also has access to a lot of magical abilities.
Yes.
From a concoction of crystals and things that were ground up into a life chalice. I think the life chalice is still together. I don't think it was
think
finished
so.
after. Like,
No, that was ground up into it.
Oh, okay. I wasn't sure what the pot that we used to mixture was like.
Yeah, it was the chalice, and then you used the
Okay.
chalice at the end.
Okay, I see.
So
For that disintegrate, it is at 20d6.
Yeah, 20d6 or disintegrate on the shotgun.
So, when you were crafting this thing, would you say that you had an idea of what it was going to look like, and then you just kind of filled it out with what we had and what the elusive gentleman was giving you, or
So I
were
had
you just
taken
playing it by ear and just using the things we threw in and just letting it go? and seeing where that falls in piece, even if it's a horrible jigsaw puzzle at the end.
A little bit of both. I had kind of like an idea of sorts, but I spent the like a night looking over the items, seeing how I could describe in a way that it would look for the body, and then I walked that description through with Jeremy, and he gave me the kind of idea of DCs. So I had like a look of it, but then also Caden has the ability to decide his own form. So kind of at the end of the day, what I had made the cosmetic didn't make a huge difference.
So that's its true form, but he can look like whatever he wants.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh my god, you always
So he
make
has-
him
yeah,
look
the
like a
true form,
fucking squirrel. A tiny squirrel.
He can do that too. He can do that too.
Yeah.
Just
So,
always
I
looks
just-
like a tiny squirrel. And you have this little squirrel friend on your
So-
fucking
So
shoulder.
when he was getting used to his form, he actually did change into a squirrel. So
Turns
I
into
A
this-
gargantuan squirrel.
gigantic.
I would want him to be a little squirrel that turns into this massive fucking hulking beast of flesh.
But yeah, in his true form, he's got these two eyes, one bigger eye and one smaller eye on his left side of his face. One eye is a crystal on the right side, and then he's got an eye on his right shoulder. And it's all just this tangible mass of viscera flesh.
What?
And
All I can
carving
think
If
of-
it helps,
Danny DeVito's on his chest.
Why?
that's
know.
the symbol of Otris.
That's the symbol of Oakless. Is this?
It's Danny
strange
DeVito.
If
This
you want,
unknown human.
if you want to know, or if you want like a visual representation of what the true form looks like,
I'm just gonna
I
assume
do.
that it's his face.
Just-
eye on your shoulder and your nerve.
oh yeah,
Yeah, that's
yeah,
cool.
yeah. And then the shotgun and arm and all that.
Yeah. And
God
like I
damn
said,
it.
there was and he's also wearing hemp
Hold
pants,
on.
which are Taven's pants,
Are we good?
Yeah.
and a black windbreaker.
My internet.
Wait.
No, we're good. We're good. My internet.
Okay. Yeah.
My internet stopped and goed again. I hate when it does that.
He's also wearing like gray, greenish hemp pants and a black windbreaker with cane belt for clothes.
And then I came with security pass.
And there's a katana that he might be holding. I don't know if he picked it up. He offered it to the. Well, it's Phoebus offered it as to the body, but I couldn't. I wasn't gonna put that. There wasn't a few places I could really fit the idea of a katana. Except
On
for
the
maybe
forehead.
I was thinking maybe on his elbow, so it could be like or like along the hand of his like arm or something, so he could slice with it. But I don't know. And like a place where it's useful.
So, sorry, I'm just making sure everything's still good. Seems like everything's still good.
Yeah. And yeah, and we had a few entities that are god level creations that have been put into this.
2 CR23 gods.
Along with it, the
Okay, so a good question, I guess, would lead up with is: have you ever made a monster before in game without help?
I mean,
Any of you? I mean, Jeremy probably has a few times.
I have.
I have, yeah. There's a couple times I've worked on some different things for like different games that I have going in mind.
So, how would you? So backing up, how would you make a monster? Like, if you could change things, not about this one because this one we kind of all put in together, so it all that was kind of the power of cooperation. No, I'm thinking more
Power
like
of family.
if you were to go back and do this by yourself and make a similar monster, what would you use? What would you throw away?
I have a very different idea for what the another flesh skull, so very similar, but I wasn't sure if it would like if the flesh book was still like around, I would try to use it later on for something like that, but it gets burned up in its use.
When you say
But-
flesh
Yeah.
golem, the first thing I think of is Diablo 2. Just golem that looks like it has a
see,
rib cage and looks like it just had its skin ripped off.
and that's where I would kind
I
of
think of
it,
the
and I think
hand golem that we
it
want.
would look. That's funny. I think of that too. But the idea I would make is kind of it would be in Descent to Avernus. They introduced the Fiendus Flesh Golem, which is the flesh golem made from the flesh of like fiends and demons, things like that. So originally, my thought that I had was to make a flesh golem from specific useful parts of different fiends. And one of the main one I was going to make was going to be the body or its torso was going to be a Cebrex, which drools this mutative like flesh warping goo everywhere.
And I have no idea what that is.
No, the Kyrex.
If you haven't looked at a Cebrex, you should check them out. They're pretty cool.
Describe it to me.
It's a
looks
floating
like a giant
mass
horse.
of like bulbous flesh that like is chained up to the ground, usually in hell.
One more time.
It's like a bulbous mass of floating flesh that's like chained to the ground that can have multiple like eyes or faces in different locations, and it drips this green goo that warps your flesh when you touch it.
From
Descent to Avernus.
Oh, it's from D&D.
Yes.
Like what?
Yeah, so I preface this with harvesting parts from D&D Devils and Demons. So yes, this is where these creatures are from.
Okay.
Yeah, Cebrex. There's a couple of different. I had a list of parts that I wanted to make from a flesh golem that had access to different abilities to these things.
See, all right. Personally, I can't use templates when I'm making a monster, especially when I'm making something. Like in my game, the game I'm running, the BBEG rides this massive monster that he basically rides like a fucking like a Titan or like a, you know what I mean? Like he just rides it. And what it is I built it from scratch because like I was inspired by if you ever played Star Fox 64 by Andross, the brain version of him. I was inspired by that, but like I had to like I basically used that template because I wanted it to be like a giant kind of brain god kind of thing. And then I went crazy from there. And so like now what it looks like is it looks like a floating brain that has these tendrils that twist down and look kind of like a spine, but it makes a floating body with hands, and it's wearing a skirt of knit torsos and people that are still alive of different races that it uses as like basically as a wardrobe, as like this basically like this dress, and it's basically it floats around as this giant, essentially like illithid god kind of thing. And I started with the image in my head, and then from there I sized it as I wanted to scale it, and then I went back and started building the abilities for it, and started looking at things that like basically I started like then I looked at something close like an Elder Brain and looked at what Elder Brain abilities are and said, okay, how can I amplify this? This thing is basically God of Elder Brains, so how do I crank that to 11? For my level 20 party.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, like with Taven, since I've been playing, I've been trying to constantly think of different like monster ideas, kind of like that, like different experiments and things. So what could be created to that? One of my main ones was eventually to take, like in a similar thought with brains, I was going to take Taven's brain and put it underneath the Tree of Life. And that I was going to try to help foster that to like grow into like a giant flesh tree of life. And I wasn't quite sure where I was going to go from there, but that was the start of my plan.
This is where I really want to get. I want to get Jeremy's opinion or the Elusive Gentleman's opinion, because we would like in the early times when you do stuff like that, like when you do crazy stuff. Jeremy just kind of he either would mutate them in some way, or in my case he would just give me a star spawn, which is just as good. But like I guess there's a mutation table, isn't there?
There's some
Yes.
in different ones you can look up. In different ways.
So you could
Yeah,
just,
there's-
you know, it'd be a fun way to make a monster for a story. Roll like 3.
Use the Chimera template.
I was gonna say just roll a bunch of good and bad attributes, whether they're like, and don't separate them, like whether they're physical or mental, and then just like set a amount of dice you roll and just roll the dice, and then whatever attributes it lands on, you just put them in, and then try to make the monster around those attributes.
Yeah, that's
That'd
pretty
be
cool. Like,
actually kind of fucking cool, actually.
that's kind of the feel I had for making this character, like this monster, in a certain sense. 'Cause, like I like that kind of full. Just let's see what happens and see where it goes from here. I don't. I like having like the way I'm sure everyone has noticed in the game, but the way for those who are listening, I play.
I was gonna say the
David
people
Barry,
listening
like-
don't know because they haven't been in games, so
Yeah,
enlighten
well,
them.
I play my character very like start a really strange idea and project and see what happens along the way.
never finish
Not
it.
really- Not I was
no.
about the part that we'll
Sorry.
start off with.
I was just
With
kill off.
never a real end goal, because that's never his plan. His plan as a scientist is to do random shit and see what happens. And so when nothing happens, he's confused. And when something happens and it's not the way it's expected, he's like frustrated. So it makes things like interesting for the character, and playing as an evil mind, it creates it's created some interesting interactions. My goodness, words.
Oh, like
Oh, like playing with other guests like our wonderful C4 up there, and the strangeness that has come from our in-game marriage, and then our adoptive daughter, Sarah was playing as, who's
we're a very functional family.
yeah, our
Yeah,
D&D
see,
story about
so much our
Star Wars.
DM even laughs how functional we are. Like
You became the Skywalker family.
we are as functional as any family.
Yeah,
Hard stop.
hard stuff. Like stepmom, adoptive child, like murderous drunk uncle, and wants to get high all the time cousin. That's
I don't know.
pretty much how it's
Come on, chat. I that sounds like every family, right?
yeah.
Yeah, it is. That's exactly what every family is
No,
like,
it's,
isn't it?
it's interesting because then we
I'm
get
the
back
loving,
to where
caring
we
mother
were.
figure, and you're the scary, slimy father figure.
Yeah. There you go. Followed by the drunk.
I saw it the other way around, honestly.
And then
I
we,
can see it. I can see it either. That's what makes it great for our characters. Is both.
anyway, back to kind of topic. All right, so
let's talk about our first original. Let's talk about our first original monster, because I haven't. I'm curious a little bit more about that, since we haven't. We're kind of at the late stage, and our wonderful. At least I like to call him the father at one point. Our
what?
wonderful, great Doc Image. I'm curious from our enlightened various gentlemen.
You're gonna have to be way more specific if
What-
you're gonna talk about
what-
that.
Document.
What are
No,
our
I mean like
wonderful-
for the people out in cyberspace who have no fucking
I was
idea what
trying-
you're talking about.
Let me get my sales pitch up. My goodness. I
Well,
haven't
no.
been- I haven't-
First,
No.
first
I've
you
been doing
explain, and then you go sales pitch.
Don't you tell me how to sales pitch my bit.
You
So
can't
what he's
forget to
talking
sell
about-
the tables.
Is
There's an
I had
extra
mentioned it
here.
earlier.
Fine, Mom. You do it.
Oh, just don't talk about nothing because there's just no point. No one understands what you're talking about.
I
Anyway, what he's talking about is I had a Starspawn Goliath named Chad, and he had a
brain. I don't know. It was an Orbalex with an intellect devourer inside.
is that what really what it was? Dirty.
Yeah.
Anyway,
And paladin armor. You can't forget the paladin armor.
so through means that were not completely of our own.
We had a play date.
It wasn't our fault. Point is, things
We didn't
happened,
get along.
and they ended up
Play dates
merging,
always work out.
and we made a god, or well, at least something, and we called it Doc Yamaj. because we just
Yeah,
reversed
love
the
to know
names.
more.
So now that everyone's caught up, now you can ask your question. Our first
Man.
monster, our child.
I like to sell a little bit of mystique, then follow through with the pitch, you know. But I got you. You're all flavor and substance. No follow up. I got it. But you know, that's what I'm curious about. What this entity kind of has been or was in a certain sense, from where it had started to where it is now. You know, what did that start off? I'm curious to how much, because I remember Chad had gotten, there was the meteor that fell from the sky, and he had grabbed this star meteor, and his hand blew up with radiant energy.
Are you asking what was he
Like,
originally?
No, no, not originally, but what they had been at where they were. Like, I'm just asking for.
Well, he
I'm
was a
curious.
paladin originally.
I'm just curious, in general, from our wonderful gentleman,
What?
when they became Diomed, what they have become since then.
What do you mean? Like what?
I don't know, just overall general information. That seems interesting.
Well, we all know they started as a
I think
star
what-
spawn and a paladin, and
Well, it was a paladin who got re-educated
Yeah.
by Maurice's holy prayers,
so
then had grabbed a meteor from a fallen piece of a god.
yeah. So that like I'm confused.
And then-
What are you asking?
Well, since then it had become Document, right?
A process.
What had it become at that point? I don't know.
I think what he's trying to ask in his own way is
tips.
what was the process that led to this creature being
We
born?
literally just had a descriptive process of one entity, and you're confused about the
Well,
idea for that.
I think I
Number
can.
one.
I mean, stop me if I'm wrong, Jeremy, but I'm pretty much. He didn't really describe anything at that point. Like he just made it a
But
giant
I mean,
sphere.
like,
Everything we gave it, he just kind of reflected. The way we treated it is the way that he kind of just reflected the way. Yeah, that's how I kind of noticed he was playing Documage. Is it was always a reflection of the way we played around him.
I knew that for sure, but I mean, just in the way of like different, like how this creature was related from its previous things to how it had become this single mind. Or
The only thing I can think you're getting at is what was his original purpose in Jeremy's mind.
I'm talking about the changes from pre-sphere to after sphere.
Yeah,
That
what
makes sense.
was
In history,
Jeremy's original idea for this thing? Because otherwise,
that's part and parcel. That's not exactly.
it's
Most
just
of these aren't my original ideas. They're reactions to crazy shit you guys did.
Yeah. Well, that's Well,
Right? It was like it's kind of a campaign that started crazy and just escalated.
Yeah.
Did you have an original plan for the monster we made for Documage?
No,
Did you expect to have that?
Did you
collision,
have
like,
any kind of hope with where you were going with that?
absolutely not.
I was gonna say, I still.
That's what I thought.
I started as an improv. Yeah.
Yeah, I got you. I know how you work.
I wasn't sure if there was more. Yeah, further back on it, like we just kind of did on the step-by-step process.
No, Jeremy's a dick like that. He's really good at
Well, it makes
making.
it easier. I understand that.
He's really good at giving us nothing, and so we fill in the blanks, and he just goes, "Yeah, that's right."
Yeah, well, that's kind of, that's the way to do it. Improv is the way to go a lot of the time. This has always been the history. Scratches out pre-like written stuff. Like,
But I think that goes in. I mean, you could say that's a huge part of making a monster is improv, right? I mean,
Yeah.
you just
Well, that's what I mean. Like,
If you
pre-sphere,
think about it-
he was separate monster of an after sphere. He was this big sphere of a universe, right?
I was just gonna say what the connection between every monster we've made and we've talked about so far is it was just like we had random things happen or random shit in our pockets or random blah, and we threw it all together in some random way, however it was accident or on purpose, and then all of a sudden we get using we make a monster. We use the restrictions. So
Evil characters. We get some shenanigans. It's so hard to really explain in a coherent thought process where we started to where we are now.
I don't expect you to. That's why I'm asking questions.
No, I just mean that in a general state for viewers or people who are trying to like get a bigger idea of our story. It's non-stop chaos.
That's why I don't bother. That's why I just skip the parts where you're trying to explain. I'm just like, nah, just get to the meat of it, bud. There's no point. It's like anyone explaining their campaign. It's you have to be there. But you
that's why we have the
I
special
feel
coming
like
up.
I feel like we're extra special in that regard because our shit has literally been all chaos and nonsense this entire time. Like
That's why we have the special coming up where we talk only about.
I feel like we're extra special
every session.
I don't. Yeah. Okay. Give me the special star award. I mean in the way that our shit is ridiculous. In the fact that like people could be like, oh, I went and saw a king and we did a goblin fight,
Does it have gold
and then we
leaf on
ended up
your-
helping the god of this, and we went and did this generic kind of little thing. But no,
I mean,
we started a town, we made a cult, we blew up our town, we ended up in the future. We understood that we weren't, but we are. Like, please.
look,
We
man.
made a god.
If our shit mattered, we'd be Rick Mercer.
There's nothing to say that this can't be the tipping point. It's never too late for regrets.
I love the hope.
Never too late for regrets.
Never give in, never surrender. That's a great movie.
Yeah, it is a great movie.
That is a great movie. Not what I was referencing. But yes. Never give up. A lot of great soundtrack for that movie.
They have Comic-Cons for that movie.
Do they?
That movie is about
Only like
a Comic-Con for a fake show. And they have Comic-Cons for that movie with Tim Allen and like
Alright, then I'm
Sigourney Weaver.
yeah,
does some
like I
pretty
can't.
Alright, I was sorry. I was thinking of Never Back Down.
I was thinking Galaxy Quest. Are you kidding me?
MMC.
Hey,
Sorry, I didn't hear
Galaxy
Galaxy Quest. I heard something else. It's Galaxy Quest is even then like it went from like fantasy to Galaxy Quest. But our Galaxy Quest invented a lot more.
You know
tentacles.
who? I'm just gonna throw this out here since we're talking about how to make a monster. You know who I have infinite respect for? I mean, everyone would think Lovecraft, but if you ever actually read Lovecraft, he barely ever describes his monsters. He only describes like a lot. Like he describes an eye or like the darkness around it. So don't say Lovecraft. No, you want to talk.
Fear of the Unknown.
You want to talk about like a true master of making like what the fuck am I looking at? Where the hell did you pull that out of your brain? Anything by Cronenberg. That Canadian knows how to make a monster. My God. You'll never be the same when you watch a TV turn inside out and a man make love with it, or someone reach inside another one's stomach to plug in the video game. Oh, these are both different movies, by the way. Or pulling out his liver and chicken bones to make a gun that fuses with his hand. Oh man, Cronenberg. Or The Fly.
Yeah,
The Fly. Like just The Fly.
Yeah,
That scene when he spits up his stomach acid all over the face of the guy who loves his girlfriend and melts it, and he goes like a fly.
yeah. You can come up with some really dark, weird shit if you thought about it. It's not that hard.
A lot of it's always science fiction when it's making monsters, though. You gotta thank Dr. Frankenstein for that. Which again, you never get a good description of the monster. Ever. But that's...
You know what else you don't get a description of? Jesus.
I was gonna say I think I did a pretty good description of this monster.
There's no description of Jesus. The only descriptions are he's bigger than a baby and smaller than a temple.
I'm not gonna touch that at all. As a Jew, I'm going to use my get out of jail free card and just say I don't know anything about this person and just not touch that one. Because I'm sure there's someone out there who's going to be listening and he's going to immediately open their Bible and then start... I mean, do it. If anyone out there actually disagrees, please tell me so I can read it on the next show to the Greasy Boy.
Yeah. Show us the description.
I'm sure it must. I'm sure it must. There's a whole...
No.
I'm sure. You know what? I'm gonna take 5 seconds out of my life and research this now. I'm no way I'm taking your word on that. Does the
I'm not
thing
even gonna touch it.
describe Jesus looks? Yeah, you notice how I did that there? Smart.
Yeah, I guess.
Revelations 14-15. Bam. Wow. That was like a fourth. That was 0.58 seconds of my life I wasted.
That's why I said I wasn't gonna look into it. Tell
I'm
us.
just so wrong.
You're right.
But this is why
Tell us about that. Tell the audience at home.
I don't need a description. I see it in the top left. Oh! Oh, thank you. That's right. Oh, wait.
I think I just threw up in my mouth a little bit.
Wait, now I'm confused if they're talking about me or they're talking about Danny DeVito in the top left of your screen.
Both. I bet. I want to know.
I don't know what they're talking about now. Either I or Danny DeVito got called Jesus.
I knew a guy that looked like those pictures.
I see it in the top left. That's so nice. Thank you for the wheel. Are you mirrored? Oh, yes. Even better. Yes, he was talking about me. That's right. I'm Jesus. Thank you. Thank you. You're so nice.
Yeah, I like to say that when someone says Jesus Christ or oh my God, I say yes, my child.
Oh, it's because of my Jewish good looks.
I thought it was your balding.
He says with green hair.
My balding with my long hair. Don't even try.
Yeah, you're balding.
You wish.
Green balding.
I've seen you without a hat.
Busted.
See,
You're
I
so
don't
funny.
need to wear a hat.
You're so funny.
So funny. See, we're the best. We're the best here at the talk show.
Male pattern baldness, you know, happens when you're 30.
We know all about the things.
Dirty young kids. Your
Like
luscious
how to make
golden
them
locks. Anyway, we have about 5 minutes left.
Yeah.
Let's not even. We have 3 minutes left. So let's end on a monstrous note.
Check it out.
Who here likes spoilers? Let's rate the top video streams.
That's definitely gonna be more.
I was just gonna say a bunch of spoilers about Doctor Strange. Ruin everyone's day.
Or you could. You could also just raid a bunch of streams.
See, Caden, why don't you just...
Oh my god, we could raid all 6 of us, our viewers and us. We could raid together. Oh, let's.
Or we could play marbles. We could find a stream that has marbles playing.
Oh, marbles.
What?
Twitch marbles.
Which marbles?
You mean Jax?
No, Twitch marbles.
Check
It's
out
basically a
the-
marble racing game. Like, think Super Monkey Ball. But it's multiplayer.
Right.
With that, we are now at the hour. And
You're
so...
This is an open
Sorry you had
episode.
nothing better to do with... I'm sorry you had nothing better to do out there in cyberspace. I'm so happy you spent it with us here.
You will be well.
I am C4. I'm joined with the elusive gentleman and Mo and Curly. And we hope you would join us on Two Shot Fridays.
You're clearly the third stooge here.
This wasn't 2 shots.
I said, please join us for Two Shot Fridays. This was the podcast episode.
Please join us. This is what we do all the time.
Thank you for joining us for the Jiro's podcast.
We are the Villains podcast and talk show. Please stop saying the wrong name. If you like this, please like, share, subscribe, follow us. All that jazz. This is great. Thank you all.
And remember, no matter who you are loved.
Pour down.
That's true. You are loved. Feel the
Except
love.
for you.
Yeah, you.
You know who you are.
Yeah, you. We all know.
You
who
know you
are.
did.
Dicks for Harambe.
Not for the wheel. We love him. Come back. We love you.